Good day, Kavibal, and welcome to our Learn at Home Facebook Live. For the discussion today, the topic will be on developing action research questions. Before we begin, take note of the following reminders. Make sure you are registered to the webinar to have your e-certificate of participation. Visit certificate.vibalgroup.com to generate your proof of attendance. Share the video using hashtag LearnAs1PH as our official hashtag to all our Vibal webinars. Experience learning, Kavibal! And now, to proceed with our webinar this evening, it is my pleasure to introduce to you our distinguished speaker today. Carlos A. Buraga graduated cum laude from Isabela State University, Cabagan Campus with the degree Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in English, and he finished his master's degree in education at University of Makati. In 2018, he pursued his Doctor of Philosophy in English Language Teaching at Metropolitan College. He also finished Doctor of Education in Innovative Educational Management at University of Makati in 2021. He has been teaching for 10 years in Makati High School as an English teacher. He is also currently assigned as the language coordinator for the senior high school department in the same school. He believes that our dreams do come true if we have the courage to pursue them. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome Dr. Carlos A. Buraga.
Thank you, Miss Jillian, for that introduction. Again, good evening, Kavibal. Good evening, teachers, parents, and to all our viewers who are watching right now via Vibal's Facebook page. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. And welcome again to another Learn at Home session. Again, thank you so much, Vibal, for this opportunity to be able to share something to our audience this evening. And this presentation is a continuation of our discussion last week. We revisited the action research process in our last session, and this time, let's have a short discussion about how we develop action research questions. Again, with this discussion I'm going to present to you right now, you will realize that research is not really that difficult to conduct. But before that, let me present to you first the outline of our presentation. Uh, a good classroom action research question should be meaningful, compelling, and important to you as a teacher, researcher. It should engage your passion, your energy, and your commitment. It has to be important for your personal and professional growth. It should stretch you intellectually and effectively. As a researcher, you should love the question. That is why we will revisit some of the characteristics of good research questions. And later, we will have some examples of action research questions in our given sample situation. So we will have a short discussion about the characteristics, and we will have examples of action research questions. All right, we'll start our discussion with the different characteristics of good research questions. Identifying and framing the research question should be done carefully as you reflect on the teaching and learning situations in your classroom. You brainstorm questions and play around with them. You talk about your questions with your colleagues and let the questions emerge over time until you feel ready to frame the question uh, as this will guide your inquiry. And once you narrowed down the question, it should be framed so that the issue you are investigating is clearly and concisely stated. The action or intervention you intend to implement needs to be clearly stated as well. And a good research question is manageable within your sphere of influence. It is consonant with your work so that you can address it within the confines of your classroom. So this focuses about classroom instruction. It is all about curriculum. It is focused and not so ambitious, big or complex, that it requires extraordinary resources, time, and energy. Again, classroom action research focuses on the problems that are happening inside the classroom, and you have to make sure that your questions are manageable. Second is a good research question should be important for learners. We discussed last time about the definition of an action research, and we said that it is a method of trying out ideas in practice as a means of increasing knowledge about or improving curriculum teaching and learning. So, a good action research question benefits your students by informing your teaching and the curriculum, by providing new insights about students and their learning, by broadening and deepening your perspectives as a teacher, or by improving practice. So it should be something that will benefit your students, your learners. Third is a good research question leads to taking an action, to trying out uh, something to improve a teaching or learning situation, to implement actions that can make a difference in the lives of students. um, it's an research, so that at the end of your study, at the end of your research, you have to do something, right? You have to make an action. No action without research no research without action. The ultimate goal of action research is the improvement of one's teaching or the advancement of student learning and or development. So you have to do something, right, that will help you as a teacher or that will help your student and will develop their learning. Third is a good research question is authentic. You have to own it. All right. When you own the question and acknowledge your subjectivity, you are more likely to invest yourself in the research. A good research question does not lead to a yes or no answer. It is it is specific but sufficiently open-ended to facilitate meaningful exploration and to provide opportunities for deep and rich understandings of teaching and learning in the classroom. The question needs to be open ended enough to allow possibilities to emerge and not responding to more or to the more open ended research question will more often than not generate multiple directions and further research questions. So, um, again, in a research question, one research question is fine, right? You have your main research question. Yung iba, if for example, if you have three questions, maybe second and third questions will just supporting questions or follow-up questions. We'll have example later on. All right. Again, this is the format of an action research. All right. The different parts of an action research is based on the Department of Education Order Number 16, series of 2017. So this is a like a thesis or dissertation. All right, like what I've mentioned last time, hindi na ito pakapalan. It's not a matter of pakapalan, right? It's just minimum of 12 pages, maximum 15 pages. So it's around 12, 15 pages only, right? Again, this is not like thesis or dissertation. Our action research question or questions will be discussed as you can see there, right? It's under it's under chapter part two, right? And will be discussed in part four, which is results and reflection. Again, if you only have one research question, there should also be one result only, right? If you have two research questions, there should be two results to be presented. Again, this format is based on DAPED Order number 16, series of 2017. So here it is like how we craft our title, right? The one that I shared to you last time. There are only three things that we need to consider, right? Dapat nandun ang problem, dapat nandun ang participants, dapat nandun ang solution, alright, sa ating problem. So it's the problem, solution, and the participants or the beneficiaries. All right, let's have an example. So we have here an example. How does reciprocal teaching improve reading comprehension of grade 7 students? So the problem here is the reading comprehension of the students, and the action proposal is that the teacher will improve the students' reading comprehension through the use of reciprocal teaching. So paano kaya makakatulong ang reciprocal teaching para ma-improve ang reading comprehension ng mga bata? The very foundation of research questions that there should be a problem again, right? There should be a solution, and there should be a beneficiary or the respondents. Again, just one research question will do, but again, like what I've mentioned, you might be asking bakit po sa ibang research, action research, madaming questions. The other questions might be supporting questions or follow-up questions doon sa main research question natin. Normally, an action research question starts with how does, all right? So as you can see in our example, how does, then the solution, okay, improve the problem of grade. Yun yung participants natin. So like what I have presented here in the given example, right? So how does reciprocal teaching is the solution, right? Improve reading comprehension is a problem of grade 7 students. That's the respondents or the participants of the study. So normally ganun lamang po yung ating action research question. And then we have follow-up questions if we have any. All right. What I'm going to present to you are just examples because I cannot present the whole rationale. So this one is the example of a rationale of the research. So I just chose the problem and the solution in every situation that will be presented um, in this example. But that does not mean that your rationale should be this short, right? Hindi naman one paragraph lang or two paragraphs lamang ating rationale, right? Like what I've mentioned in my previous talk, that rationale should consist of context and innovation, intervention, or strategy, right? I also presented a while ago sa ating action research format yung mga dapat nandoon sa bawat part ng ating uh, research. Uh, Again, in your rationale, it should consist of context, innovation, intervention, and strategy. So this one is just an example, right? So let us read the given situation. So in our um, first situation, I noticed that my grade 7 students were not interested in the topic about parts of speech. I find them impatient and have low grades in English. So that's the problem. I watch on YouTube that song game is an effective approach to use in class. I designed a song game and will try to use it in my class to find out if my students will be interested and will increase or it will have high grades in English. So that's the solution. All right. So in our first situation, the problem has something to do with students being impatient. All right. So this has something to do with motivation. And then the solution that of the researcher is that the researcher will design a song game. So this is an example of a rationale, pero hindi ibig sabihin ganito lang kaiksi yung ating rationale. Alright? So with that situation, the title of the action research might be improving the motivation and performance of grade 7 students in learning parts of speech through song games. So, balikan natin yung tatlong requirements sa ating on how we craft our title. Or kasi that's the first thing that we have to make, di ba? Yung ating title. So there are three requirements ng ating title. Number one, dapat nandun yung solution, intervention, or strategy, which is in our given situation is the use of song games. Right? Number two is dapat nandun yung problem, challenge, or difficulty. Okay, which is in the given situation the student's motivation and performance. So union problem, all right, that the researcher wants to improve. And the third requirement in crafting our title is that there should be respondents or subjects, right, which is the grade 7 students in the given example. All right, so let's take a look at our sample research question. Again, these are just examples. All right. Number one is, how does the teacher assess the participation of the students in the activity? Right. Ang problema natin dito is the students' motivation. So, will there be any changes, or are there any changes with regard to their participation? Were will the students really be motivated with your song game? All right. The second question is, what are the challenges encountered by the teacher in using this activity? So this is qualitative in approach. Ikaw as a teacher na gumawa, what were the challenges that you encountered during this activity? Uh, bakit kaya hindi naging effective yung song game sa lesson? Okay, what were the problems that you encountered? And with these reflective questions, you will discuss this in your reflections that will be part 4. All right? Part 2 will be discussed, the results and reflections will be discussed in your part 4 of your action research. So this is just how we craft our, or we developed our action re- research question, and these are just examples. All right. So again, this is our sample title. This is the situation. This is our sample title, and these are sample research questions based on the title given. All right. Let's have the second situation. I noticed that my students find it difficult to understand the topic about atomic model in chemistry. So this is one. This example is um, in science naman, right? According to what I read in a research, abstract topics can be taught through a unique strategy called co-writing. It is a combined collage and writing using Niels Bohr's model to illustrate the size of an atom and compare each other. Because of this, I wanted to try it in my class. So again, there is a problem, there is a solution. This is a sample. This is just an example of a rationale. All right. So the problem in this situation is that the students have difficulty understanding the topic about atomic model. As you can see in the second paragraph, the researcher made use of scholarly approach. So nagbasa yung researcher ng mga different strategies, and isang strategy na kita niya ay na sa tingin niya ay effective ay yung combination of collage and writing ni Neil Bohr, and coined it as call writing that could solve the problem of students in difficulty understanding the atomic model in chemistry. So this is just an example, sample rationale. All right. So with that situation, this can now be a good research title. All right. The effect of using code writing in teaching atomic models on the learning of grade 7 students. Please take note of this for the title. Again, the title should have the solution, intervention, strategy. So in this situation, our strategy is the use of code writing, right? Combination of collage and writing as a strategy. Next, the title should have the problem. All right, so the problem, there is a problem on the learning of grade 7 students, and the title should have the respondents or subjects of the research, which is the grade 7 students in the in the given situation. In our title, these three must be present. All right, let's take a look at our sample research questions in a given situation. Number one is, how does the teacher assess the output of students who created call writing? So you will answer this question in the reflection part and the results of the discussion in narrative. In this question, the teacher may use mm, rubrics, right? And it will be discussed in the innovation, intervention, or strategy part kung ano yung gagawin mo as a researcher on how to assess the output of students, or maybe kung hindi rubrics ang gagamitin, maybe the students will rate each other's output, right? It's a case to case basis. It depends on you as as a teacher researcher. All right. The second question is, how does the students assess their involvement in the activity? Um, the teacher may use interview, something like that. All right. With that, somehow ma-assess natin yung involvement ng mga students natin sa activity. How did they feel, right? Um, with getting involved in this activity. All right, so these are just sample research questions that we just based in the given situation. Um, Action research involves refining questions until you feel you have landed upon the right ones. You know, uh, you change questions. If you think that this question is not properly crafted, you change it. You refine it until you feel that you have landed on the right one. The way you frame as a researcher, the way you frame questions will determine the methodology you plan to study them, right? Differentiated solutions and subsequent understandings will be generated by the way questions are posed. All right, so that will be my input for this evening's presentation. All right, so we have the three requirements in crafting our title and how we develop and action research. I think it's very simple. Again, in the beginning of my talk, I mentioned that with this presentation, it will help you realize that hindi naman talaga mahirap gumawa ng isang action research. All right, we just have to, to follow the format given, and hindi tulad ng isang thesis or dissertation na mahaba, madaming requirements that we have to meet, right? And action research is just a minimum of 12 pages and maximum of 15 pages. So I believe that with this presentation, we can make now, or we can begin now to make our own action research. And that ends my presentation. Please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's Learn with Teacher Carlos. And before I end my presentation, I would just like to greet again my colleagues in Makati High School, my bosses in SDO Makati, and to my family in Cabagan, Isabela, who are watching right now. Again, thank you so much, Vibal, and to all our viewers, have a blessed evening, everyone. Miss Jillian?
There we have it. In behalf of Vibal Group Incorporated, I would like to thank our speaker for today for this indeed very timely and insightful learning session. It is always an honor to have you with us, sir. And to all our Kavibal viewers, all thanks to you for your continuous patronage to all our daily learning session. Don't forget to register to get your e-certificate of participation. The link is in the caption of this webinar. We also encourage you to subscribe and watch on our official Vival Facebook and YouTube channel. Muli maraming salamat at magandang araw sa ating lahat. Happy weekend mga Kavibal!